Today I'm heading over to my mother's house to deliver some flowers, and I won't be calling in and I won't be calling to her door. It's actually early enough in the morning, it's 8:15, and I will be following the public health advice about social distancing and keeping away from other people. I think it's the right thing to do, and I think it's a great habit to get into. That is the right thing to do, and in this video I'm going to explain exactly what I mean by that. But for now, I would encourage everybody and ask everybody to follow the advice of the public health experts and practice vigorously the social distancing that's required. I'm just going in now with the flowers. I'll leave them at the front door, and obviously I'm not going to call in and see my mother. Hopefully there'll be plenty of other times when this whole thing blows over. I'm not sure that many people, or some people, a substantial minority of people, understand the seriousness of the coronavirus and COVID-19. And looking at Twitter for a period of 10 minutes, for example, and picking out some tweets, you can see immediately what the potential consequences are. For example, Dan O'Brien, who is an economist and writes for either the Irish Independent or Irish Times, says of the 7 European countries he's lived in, Switzerland is the most efficient, and Swiss hospitals face collapse in 10 days if the virus keeps spreading. I don't know if you watched the news the other night, but there was a city in northern Italy where the number of coffins in the local mortuary increased so significantly that they had to get the army in, and the images on the screen, on the TV screen in the 6 o'clock news or 7 o'clock news in Channel 4 was of army trucks loaded with coffins, taking them away in northern Italy. I see another tweet there where there is actually a construction work has started on a new drive-through COVID-19 testing centre in the Midlands. There's a photograph there. This is serious. CNN International reports that up to 20% of people hospitalised with coronavirus in the United States are adults, young adults between the ages of 20 and 44. This is not the common flu. This is not a cold. This is not something that you can let blow over or wish away or act as if nothing has happened or it's not serious or doesn't really matter. This is not something where men or persons should be knocking on pub doors and gaining entry to have a quiet, sleeving type of a drink, thinking that it's all just a bit of fun. This is not the sort of a situation where adults should be dropping children to schools or behind schools to socialise because they're cracking up at home. They need to crack up at home, because if they don't crack up at home, there could well be far more serious consequences for the more vulnerable in our communities, the likes of older people and people with underlying conditions. And the reality is that the death count in Italy is absolutely frightening. And if we were to continue along the same path as Italy, then it's predicted we will have over 300 deaths by the end of April. This is serious, and it is imperative on all of us to act with generosity and to do the right thing. It's imperative on all of us to act like a society and to look after each other. It's imperative on all of us to follow the medical advice and engage in good hand hygiene and social distancing. And it's imperative on all of us to follow whatever medical advice is given out by the HSE and so forth. I listened to the news on Saturday yesterday with Cormac O'Hara, that current affairs programme, and there was a medical man, a doctor on, and he was saying that he wasn't really commenting so much as being asked the question if the increase in the rate of the virus is not flattened, if the curve is not flattened, if we're not successful in that, then it will come to a point in time where medical people will have to choose, given the resources available, of between who to save and who to let go. That is an appalling consequence, and the whole purpose of doing the right thing now is to flatten the curve, is to ensure that the HSE, our health service, is not overwhelmed, because if the HSE is able to cope and able to deal with the curve having been flattened, then the damage to society, the deaths and so forth arising from the virus will be significantly lessened, and the HSE and the people working in the HSE will not be overwhelmed. If the curve is not flattened, there is a serious danger. And as I say, Dan O'Brien there says he's lived in 7 European countries, and in Switzerland, if the current rate of infection continues, the current rate of transmission continues, Switzerland's health service will be overwhelmed within 10 days. Switzerland's health service, I can guarantee you, has far more resources than ours has. So we need to take this thing very seriously. Now, I'm asking you to do the right thing, and the right thing is to follow the medical advice. And I'm asking you for the benefit of yourself and for the benefit of society. But I'm also suggesting to you that doing the right thing is actually a very good habit to get into. In other words, it is very, very easy to develop good habits or bad habits, and it is easy to develop good habits. And if you do the right thing consistently, you will develop good habits. But on this occasion, this virus is not to be messed with. It is significant. It is serious. And the idea and the information of people going to pubs and having a sly drink, or queuing up in the market there, whatever you call that market in Cork, and standing side by side and not engaging in social isolation and not respecting the space, the 2 metre space that's recommended and so forth. Barber shops carrying on businesses and people stuffed into barbers and carrying on as if nothing is happening. It is absolute nonsense. It's bullshit, and it's irresponsible to be doing that. So I'm asking you to do the right thing. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm trying to do the right thing, and I am suggesting to you that doing the right thing is actually a good habit to get into, and that it can actually be used in other parts of your life after this whole thing has, the tsunami has passed through. I hope you stay well and stay safe, and your loved ones stay well and stay safe. And I would encourage you not to take any chances, not to take any risks, to follow the advice and do the right thing.